Hey, okay. I just wanted to talk about a topic that's been kind of on my mind because it's just I guess recurring in my life. I just wanted to talk about giving the real MVP awards to individuals with disabilities and those caretakers that take into those clients or those individuals, maybe it's a family member of any kind of just whatever that may have a developmental disability, just a disability in general, just something that's just completely out of their control. But you guys take on the fact of making their life as normal as possible, and I use that with a grain that word with a grain of salt because there's no abnormal in my eyes. I think you guys are the best, if not ever, those people that increase those people's quality of life, whether you be a coordinator, a case manager, a social worker, a psychologist, a parent, a mom, a dad, a sister, and you have a person that you know, an individual with a disability, and you increase their quality of life by making them more independent and just allowing them to be themselves without identifying or defining themselves through their disability. I just want to say that. I really was digging deep the other day, kind of just trying to think like, how does that work? Is there, because we have such a harsh history of shunning individuals with disabilities out. If you just go back in time, I mean, history shows and research shows that we have shunned these people out. We have, put them in mental asylums. We have just kind of isolated them from society and just totally just kind of left that, okay, it's there, but we don't want to acknowledge it. It's kind of swept under a rug. It's one of those taboo topics. And there's a bunch of taboo topics, but not it's overlooked as an individual with a disability and how challenging that may be to them. And to this week, I just kind of got really down because us as people that we may be considered quote unquote normal don't take into account how much these these individuals with disabilities are affected day in and day out, and how they're defined by their disability by us normal people, that they may not see anything wrong with that. For instance, an individual with a seizure disorder may be defined by the fact that they get so misconstrued because they feel like, oh, well, you have a mental delay of some sort because you have seizures, but these people are productive in life. They do all this and they take medications, however, and they may be in some kind of way physiologically unable to do certain things that we do, but they should not be restricted to that. You know what I'm saying? And just to put it out there and just air out my dirty laundry, I guess, if you will, my son he was diagnosed at 8 months with epilepsy in reference to febrile seizures. If anyone's aware of that or anybody know what that is, it is, seizures induced by fevers, high fevers, and their body's so immature that it can't really fight off that fever fast enough. Their body goes into shock and causes them to have epileptic seizures. And that's, freaked me out. I'm going to be honest with you. It freaked me out. 8 months, a little baby shaking in the chair like that just really freaked. And it wasn't like a violent seizure, but to looking off and staring off and the twitching really got me. Up until now, Kai is medicated. Big, you seen my baby before. And if you haven't seen it, you need to go see these other videos. My baby is big. And by big, I mean he's healthy, he's stocky, he's strong. And that is the strongest person that I know, one of the strongest people I know, aside from my mom, that could just bounce back like that. These children, these individuals with disabilities are able to, they're so permeable. They can just have whatever happens to them and they shake back out of the hospital. Out of the hospital once from being incubated and having, tubes in and out of him. He comes out of the hospital ready to eat. He's just like, Mom, eat. Like, what we eat. Like, I really can't. It's mind-boggling to me now because he's been through so much. And I think it's just heaven sent and God like that he just kind of God just was able to kind of block that out of his mind. He has no recollection of all that because I guess what I'm trying to say in all these words is that you cannot judge a book by its cover, cliche, but you cannot. And you can't see someone else's story without reading it in depth. And he will go on to live a life. He may, potentially these seizures he can grow out of. And once he grows out of it, he has a story to tell. But I do not want him to be defined nor restricted by his disability, if that makes any sense. So when he's going into school, he can be a scholar. I'm not anybody with a disability, cerebral palsy, whether it be autistic or autism, or mild mental retardation, or just whatever it is. These people are scholars, and then these normal people, these people that are supposed to be sensitive, if you will, to individuals with disabilities, are the ones passing judgment. Now, who's abnormal at the end of the day? It must be us, right? I just really felt some kind of way, because even me, I felt weird saying, or even thinking an idea, well, someone in my family possibly seeking out services for special education. Like, I made it seem as if, or it hit my mind and was like, what if I had to undergo that myself and had to attend special education courses? I think in some way, honestly, I would be embarrassed. And the only reason why I'd be embarrassed is because it's been embedded in my mind that it's negative. But in some way, special education is adaptive. It's embedded in the curriculum to help me get by, to help me take what I have. I'm an individual with a disability and still succeed and still make it through just as you would. And I think us opening our eyes and kind of desensitizing ourselves to the fact that these individuals are no different from us, and that, not the individuals, but that the system, and just them, just not isolating them, not acknowledging, and not putting them in a group, special ed, or these children are not gifted, And I know society is so just warped with gifted and scholars and all that, whatever, and that's great. That's awesome. You could be honors, you could be all of that. I just don't think we need to stay fixated on that. And that's just some food for thought. I just really felt like that needed to be addressed. I don't know. It just hit me that week. I was like, don't hear much about it. It's one of the topics that we kind of overlook. And you're like, oh, somebody unless they have an impairment or a disability that's visual, it's really like, concrete. I can see that they have a disability. Otherwise, you never know. Like some people, you just never know. So tell me what you think about that, you guys. By no means am I looking for, any negativity towards this or looking for any positivity. I'm just opening your mind a little bit, because you never know. All right.